I first met Roger through business acquaintance. Roger was the CEO of Harwick Chemical, and Harwick actually leased office space from us on Gilchrist Road. Their sales offices were in one of our buildings. And then subsequently, they sold a building to us that we leased back to them. So I first met him through his business, but really didn't get to know him until we were involved with some other social activities, philanthropically. Top of mind is his attention to detail. Roger is fastidious about the detail and getting things done right, whether it's in business, whether it's in his personal life, whether it's in philanthropy, whatever he does, Roger has attention to detail, second to none. Roger leaves very little to chance. He's very calculated. He takes risks, but they're calculated risks. And I think that attention to detail, little things don't mean a lot, they mean everything to Roger. And it has really helped him. He also has so many other attributes: his unquestionable integrity, vision, a great sense of humor, very bright, intelligent person. But that attention to detail separates him. Well, probably one of the most significant challenges was the passing of his wife. And Roger handled it just as Roger would handle it. And as a couple, they were prepared, even though you're not really prepared for that separation. But again, that attention to the detail, the planning of the calling hours, the funeral, everything. And he rose above that and handled that with great dignity and humbleness. Oh, that's a great question. We've done a lot of projects together, but I think probably one of the most significant is the Julie Billiard School for Autistic Kids over close to St. Sebastian's on Mineola. We did a challenge over there, and the impact that had on those kids and on that school is probably one of the greatest emotional feelings, impactful feelings that I have had. We were able to attend a Christmas show with these kiddos that are challenged in many ways, and to watch their performances, to watch the things that these people that work with them are able to do with them in that facility is absolutely incredible. It was fun to sit there and watch Sally swell up and the tears roll down her cheeks, and I must admit we all were eyes were moist as we watched those kids do the things, and those are the types of things that are really fun. The Three Musketeers had a good time doing that. The Three Musketeers are Sally Miller, Roger Reed, and Phil Maynard. And Sally coined that name. She actually brought a little candy bar one day and said, "Here's the Three Musketeers, and we're out to help people. When they're in dire straits, the Three Musketeers come around to help them and rescue them, and that's what we love to do." I think one of the favorite times I've seen with Roger is when he is holding court at our Loge at the Akron U football games. And we've had several times that we've had guests come to the game, and to watch Roger in action. I can remember one time one of the ladies from South Street Ministries came to the Loge to watch the game, and during the halftime, the band comes up and plays in our Loge. Well, this young lady was urged by Roger to conduct the band. Roger talked her into it, and she came in and had to horns up, and away she went, and boy, did she get into it. And I watched Roger laugh, and he was so excited. I'll never forget the look on his face as she was leading that band. Roger's handprints are on so many different organizations in this community. We'd be here all evening if we could go to the whole list, but it's very hard to go to an organization and not see where Roger has had some influence in that organization, be it the University of Akron, be it at Heart to Heart, United Way, Boy Scouts, the list goes on, all the park systems, Stan Hewitt. He has really made an impact in this community. And the thing I worry about is where and who is the next Roger Reed. Oh, I really think it is why he loves to mentor. He really thoroughly enjoys that, and he cares so much about this community. He wants people to be in leadership positions that'll continue to not only stay here, but help our city and our region grow. So I think that's one of the main reasons he likes to work with the young people and encourage them to get involved, because he's a caring and sharing individual, and he wants to see this community continue to grow and get even stronger. Well, congratulations, Roger, my dear friend. No one in this community deserves this award more than you do, and I'm so happy that you're able to get it. God bless you.
First comes to mind that I got to know Roger actually more through my father, who was the attorney for Harwick. And I just know that he came into play shortly after my grandmother had taken control of the company. It was about 18 years later, and I knew that he had joined the company. He was a big part of the company, and then in 1989, he became president of Harwick. My dad was a big Roger Reed fan. I know that he was completely confident in the fact that he was going to take over the company when he did become president. He was excited that they had somebody so strong in there that was going to carry on the integrity, the hard work, and everything that Harwick had always been about. I think he genuinely cares about this community and the people in it. I know that people look to Roger as a leader in so many ways, not just at Harwick, but also a leader in the community who's taken on so many different causes and supported so many different causes. But I think it's his integrity for sure. It's his kindness. It's his interest in everybody he meets. He just cares about people, and he cares about Akron. That in 1968, Roger was one of, I believe, 15 people who came together to purchase Harwick back and start Harwick Chemical Company. The company had been sold to Chemitron, and a group of these people got together and invested to keep Harwick in Akron, and Roger was a big part of that. Fondest memory? You know, one of the things when I talk about Roger being so caring is that when my father after he had had a stroke, and especially in the last couple of years of his life, Roger, at least 2 or 3 times a year, wrote him a personal note to tell him how special he was to him and how much he admired a lot of the things that he had done during his career and for the community. Roger, you know, it's interesting because not only do we have the Harwick family ties, we also have a tie from the fact that Roger bought my parents' condominium at Brookwood, and so it seems like, you know, we kind of tease sometimes and say we feel like we're family. He has been so important to me, and I know that my dad, when he moved to Florida and after he had had a stroke, urged me several times to contact Roger if I had a question or a concern, or if I wanted to learn something about the community. Roger was sort of the go-to person, and so I've spent a lot of time. He helped me so much in my career. From the standpoint of you know, philanthropy. He also helped my career because he made connections for me that I wouldn't have done. He helped me with business plans. He helped me with so many things. And, you know, he can't be a second father because he's too young, but he certainly has inspired me immensely throughout my career. You know, when I think of Roger and I think that he was with Harwick and I think that he lives in my parents' condominium now, you know, it kind of makes me feel like the Harwick side of my family is still there, even though they're not. You know, he displays the integrity, he displays the kindness, the concern for community that the Harwicks were all about. Ditto, you want to be in the video now? Do you want to say hi to Uncle Roger? Thank you, Roger, for all you do for the community, and congratulations on this well-deserved award.
Well, Harwick was started in 1932 by an individual named Curtis J. Harwick. He was 32 years at the time, and he unfortunately passed away in 1948 at the age of 48. His widow took over the company, which was very unusual for right before 1950, and she allowed some of the salespeople and management people in to buy parts of the company. Company existed for a number of years. 1966 is when I believe Roger started with the company. And 2 years after he started, the business was sold to a conglomerate by the name of Chemitron. 3 years later, 1971, a group of individuals, I believe 15 or so, did what was probably one of the first leveraged buyouts, maybe in the state of Ohio, but most definitely probably in Akron, where they mortgaged, they went to family members, they figured out any way they could to accumulate the funds necessary to buy the business back from Chemitron. And that was done in 1971, and Roger was an integral part of that. Harwick has been an important part of the Akron community for decades, and Roger is one that is truly an Akron-centric individual. He's dedicated to the community, was very dedicated to our company, and I'm proud to somehow follow in his footsteps. I started with Harwick in 1984. I was with Ernst & Young, and Harwick was one of my clients. I met Roger through the work I did with Ernst & Young for Harwick. I joined Harwick 84. Roger retired in 1995, so I had 10 years plus of working with Roger. He was never my direct boss, but he was very engaged in many things that I was doing, being a financial person. And when I would have a meeting with Roger, I would definitely need to come prepared. Roger would have a list of questions, a whole list of questions, some that you could answer and some that you couldn't. And he'd go through them, and he studied the subject that you were going to talk to him about so well that he knew it. And sometimes you felt a little bit on the hot seat, but he was very incredible at being able to look at something, analyze it, detail it out, and then make sure that you as a person working with him were aware of all the consequences of decisions that were going to be made. Roger set the standard for what I feel a business executive and a community-involved person could and should be. He laid the blueprint for me. I will never be a Roger Reed, and very few people will ever be a Roger Reed. But I'm proud to contribute to the community, and he showed me and laid the framework for me to be able to learn from him and be able to do things for the community that I may not have otherwise done. Well, we've done a number of bike rides together. We've done Washington, D.C. to Pittsburgh a couple of times. We've done rides in West Virginia. We've done rides really all over the state of Ohio. One time we were riding from D.C. to Pittsburgh. We were with my son Ernie, Dave Schultz, Roger, and I, just the four of us. And we crossed this bridge that had all this caution tape in front of it. But we thought, we can cross that bridge. That'll be fine. So after we crossed the bridge, a little while later, a police car pulls up. The three of us drop back and let Roger do the negotiating with the police officer. Police officer pulls up to Roger and asks, "Did you cross that bridge?" And Roger said, "Yes, sir, we did." The police officer replies, "A guy your age should know better. Don't do it again." And then we just caught up with Roger. We said, what did he say? What happened? But we let Roger do our negotiating for us on that one brief moment that could have been maybe worse. Akron guy. Roger would sometimes use the term Akron guy. He would say, he's not an Akron guy, or he is an Akron guy. And I would be proud if Roger felt that I was an Akron guy. We had 2 presidents in between Roger and myself, and I think Roger would say, and one was from New Jersey, one was from the Boston area, and Roger would sometimes tell me they weren't Akron guys, and I knew what he meant by that. So I think Akron guy is the way I'd describe Roger. When I'd come in on weekends, I would often bring my young son, 4 years old, 5 years old, in with me. And Roger would always get on his knees, ask Ernie to high-five him, give him a gift of some kind or other. One time it was an Energizer Bunny, which is very appropriate because, as we know, Roger is that Energizer Bunny. But he would really engage with Ernie, talk to him, want that high five from him. And those Saturday mornings when I would come in and bring my son are some of the warmest memories I have. When you bike ride with Roger, one thing, Roger doesn't perspire. He rides along 50 miles. Say, Roger, do you want some water? He says, no, I'm fine. And he just doesn't sweat. 10-mile run, he doesn't sweat. Something about, him that just kind of makes you laugh a little bit, but he doesn't perspire when he does these massive exercise, 50-mile bike rides, 10-mile runs. Roger, congratulations on receiving this well-deserved award. All employees of Harwick Standard are proud of you. Past and present employees wish you all the best. And again, we're proud to be with the company that you helped create when it needed your best efforts.
So I first met Roger at a breakfast meeting at Akron Family Restaurant. My roommate and my best friend, Rich Mihawk, was taking a business class at the School of Business. And at the end of the class, he had walked down after Roger had given a presentation, and he had a chat with him. And I remember I remember later that day, Rich came home and he said, "You'll never believe it. I met this old guy who was speaking in our business class, and he was just really on it. You've got to meet this guy." So I said, "Okay, like I'm down, of course." And afterwards, we had set up a breakfast meeting at Akron Family, and that was the first time that I had met Roger. Roger has been a tremendous guide as I've sought to kind of navigate my own personal journey. Whenever we would meet, we would have really candid conversations about things that I wanted to do, places that I perhaps had wanted to go or had some interest in working in. And he would always kind of push me to, elaborate a little bit more, to think about the things that I needed to do in order to get there. And then he would be very generous with his time, with his Rolodex, with his contacts. And he would give me almost like little mini assignments every time that we would meet. And whether it was finding out who an individual was at an organization, reading a book, maybe Good to Great, I would always follow up with these things, and then we would touch back bases, and then we would work together to help accomplish the goals and tasks that I had identified that were important to me. He's been a tremendous friend and role model as well too, and was a really great reason that I had decided to join Phi Delta Theta at the University of Akron, which was a really great introduction into organizational leadership, into understanding how you can kind of play a role in building something that's a little bit bigger than you, but also getting something out of that experience as well too. But I think more than anything, it's Roger helped to show me that life so much times is about doing the right thing, and not doing it because you want to get something out of it, but doing it because it's the right thing to do. Because oftentimes, if you don't do it, then someone else may not. and oftentimes someone needs to step up to get things done. I'd say the greatest tool that I think I can rely on that Roger has helped with has been the need to be intentional and understanding the importance of intentionality, and identifying something that you want to do, and then being very meticulous about all the ways or all the different steps that it's going to take to actually get there and to get it done. Energetic. I am forever amazed just by how much energy and how much stamina Roger has. I've every time that we've met, it seems like it's been probably at 7:30, maybe like 8 o'clock in the morning, and this is already his second or third meeting of the day. And then, just all that he does and all that he's able to do. We may talk and touch bases, and he may be, across the country doing some hiking, and I'm just blown away by how much he's able to get done in the day. I think, I'm amazed by how much time and energy Roger has spent in helping me along my journey, only to come and find out that he's doing this with like dozens of other people as well too. And it really kind of blows me away how energetic he is and how he's able to get all the things done that he does. My favorite story, and I would say with Roger, is it was initiation for Fight Out. We were all incredibly nervous. We had no idea what to expect, and we're being led downstairs to the chapter room. And to my surprise, who's there? It's Roger there, and he's just so incredibly excited for us to be going through this experience, and to have been a part of the experience and the journey with us. And what blew me away is that, he said, I'm so happy that, I was able to help be a part of your journey. And, here we're thinking, we're just so fortunate that you would take the time to actually want to be a part of our journey. So I think that's been one of my favorite memories. I think one of the things that amazes me the most about Roger is his ability to focus his attention on one person, whether it's, just 8 seconds or an hour conversation. Whenever you're talking to Roger, you feel like in that moment you're the most important person in the world, and you can tell that it's genuine, that he cares about you, and that he really wants to be to see you be successful. And that's always amazed me, just how genuine he's been, and just that his ability to see the best in people, even when they're not entirely sure what they're doing with their life. Another thing is I've just been blown away with how generous he is with his Rolodex and his contacts. It seems like, for each and everything that you may have some interest in or you may be curious about, he knows somebody. And whenever he gives someone a call and whenever he makes a favor, people are always follow up super quick. And when you do go meet with an individual that Roger's helped connect you with, they care about you just as much as he does. And that's something that has really just, I think, says a lot about him, the connections that he has with people, but also Akron and the community that we live in. Roger, you've been a guide, a mentor, and a friend, and I'm incredibly happy to have had the opportunity to work with you, and congratulations on receiving the H. Peter Berg Award.